Uh, it's your girl Sia, and I'm back with another video. Y'all, I wanted to talk briefly because, and maybe not brief, this may be go on for about an hour. I try to keep all of my segments about an hour, but um, I did want to talk about this because I think it's important that we have this conversation, right? Because I remember when Trump was running and everybody was calling those black people, right? Not everybody, but a lot of black people, right? I've even had white people think that they were going to convince me that somehow my intelligence wasn't where it was, right? And what I mean by this is there were a lot of black people calling other black people who were in support of Trump because, again, you're voting for the lesser of the two evils. And in that case, regardless of what people felt about Trump, it is obvious today, and it was obvious then for some of us, that he was the lesser of the two. Okay. Now, the reason I want to have this conversation is because a lot of black people who were in support of Trump were considered to be coons. We were called all types of names, and all these black people decided to argue with us and, tell us how we didn't know anything and all this extra nonsense because, of course, they called us coons, right? Didn't really understand what they were really saying, but they called us these things anyway, just because Uncle Tom was the one that they would really call us, right? Too. Now, I say all that to say, because I mean, I'm sure I was called all types of names and by my own people. Okay. But here we have a lady. Who's the lady? The mayor, right? Let's talk and you're hearing all I'm not saying that she's guilty of anything. Um, but I do think it is important for people to really pay attention to who we vote for, especially as, even though they're in our own race. It's almost like black people are getting that wake up call, right? Where we're realizing just because somebody's black doesn't mean they for us, right? Same thing with the President Obama. Just because he was of a darker complexion, because he's really not even black, he's African. Something I've said time and time again. Those are two different things, two different ideologies, right? And they come from two different types of histories, right? And so they don't really identify with blacks here in America. We are totally different in the terms of where we come from and what story we decide we're going to truly embrace and live by, right? And I mean that because even the history that is told with us has been manipulated and distorted. And so I still to this day don't even believe half of us really understand where we've really come from. And that's another conversation for another time. However, there was a lot of people downplaying black people in 2020, and we are now reaping the repercussions, right, of the choosing to be ignorant to certain political conversations, right, and in solutions and I don't want to even say ideologies at this point because they're not ideologies. What we've been saying are things that are playing out time and time again that we're seeing all over the news today. Okay. So there was a high level of black people that were very ignorant, and they chose to be willfully ignorant and still voted these kinds of people in, right? So now you have these black mayors because while I understand Tiffany Hayward or Henyard or whatever, her, because I really don't care in the sense that like she's not important to me. I don't really live in that city, so I do have a bit of, I'm a bit distant from the situation. However, I do know that these are people who are actually sellouts, right? The people who are selling out black people right now, while you have a bunch of you know, illegal people coming into this country, in mass and getting financial support. That's crazy. This is a clear, like, any black person that voted for these people that don't understand what they did. And you know what's so crazy in all this, y'all? The only types of white people that I see really supporting this shit is like white liberals, right? Your far liberals that are going so far to say, well, it's good for America that we have people coming in and, like, blending and mixing, and like, what? You could barely survive on your own, but maybe you can, right? Because I don't be knowing, right? But you over here talking about, you know, it's good for America to blend and have people from other nations come here, and you're genuinely in support of the financial support that they're receiving. Anybody that, in my personal opinion, this is where I'm at with America and Americans, right? Anybody who is in support of this nonsense is really against the black population. And I'm gonna say that with wholeheartedly. Like, there's a level of disconnect, right? We'll help other people that are lighter and that are, closer to our skin color, right? But we're not gonna really help those who are already on the streets. And unfortunately, because blacks and browns overpopulate some or oversaturate some of those statistics, there are poor other races that get overlooked, right? Meanwhile, you have men and women of all races, right, that are veterans, right, that are being mistreated, right, that are not being properly taken care of as they should, right? But we're willing to help people we don't even know, and a lot of these folks are grown men. Like, that's what's even crazier. When you look at the border, watch how many men are coming in comparison to women, and we're willing to help men. Like, I just feel like right now, maybe possibly the rumor has it is that they're building that little military, right? That is going to be filled with a bunch of people who are not from here. And considering all of the ideologies that are really not in support of the Western society, right? I just think that's kind of a problem. This is just where I'm at with everything. But then you have these black folks, right, who know what this is, because I thought that mayors were they were intellectually, like, sound, right? Meaning that they went to college, they got a degree, right? I just thought that naturally gave you this thought process of kind of common sense, right? And what we should as a mayor be doing and what we should not as a mayor be doing. And when you have these mayors, now Tiffany Henward, I believe, may be the first, but I don't think she'll be the last. The way all of these mayors have been moving and these folks have been moving, I am certain that there's possibly more people that we may hear about over the course of the years coming ahead, right? In terms of integrity, in terms of who they are, their character, who they choose to show up as, stuff like that. Okay? So if these things are really true, and because of who she actually is, and knowing, well, okay, I take that back. Excuse me. I meant to say, knowing who she supports, meaning that she is a Democrat. That's what I want to say, a liberal, right? And there's nothing wrong with being a liberal. It's just, right now, I don't know if all of y'all are thinking clearly, okay? And so I do have to assume, right, that there's a level of mental, well, I have to assume that there's some mental conflicts going on within some of that side of, the wall. Okay. And I naturally just, I pay attention to the liberals, their mindsets, their thought processes, right? And in this situation, you have a black woman, right, who is being accused of a lot of kind of, grimy ass things, okay? And I'ma tell you now, I looked at her and I seen the lady's edges. Y'all, I can't. I didn't know you could become mayor with them kind of edges. And no shade, but like I don't do the gelled edges to your face kind of deal. Like if you ain't got the hair for it, you ain't got the hair for it. I'm not understanding what it is with some of these girls' edges. And I'm sorry, y'all. I'm not. I could never, like, no shade, but at least give me a Kamala Harris on the head. Like, I would much rather see natural, right? Natural edges, right? Not gelled down edges. Like, I don't know. That comes with a level. It's tacky. And so when I was looking at her, I was like, I didn't, no shade. I mean, I'm in support of a black woman president, but like the look, I just know what that kind of look brings. And it's no shade to black women, but I'm sorry. Like, I don't do the gelled edges. I guess I don't know. That's just not a me thing. Okay. And again, I do have a natural perception. Again, not all women who have gelled edges are the same way. But there's a certain, I feel like if y'all look closely at certain black women, like I grew up with black women and I grew up with some of the ratchetest at times, right? And when I look at their edges, that's what it'd be giving me, okay? At least she got edges if they're actually her hair. I don't freaking know. But I wouldn't have voted for her. Just me personally. It's not aesthetically appeasing enough, maybe. I don't know. She's a beautiful woman. But the hair, there's some pictures where I just be like, that's who y'all voted for. I don't be getting it. Okay. And it's just because some of her edges, if I could show y'all a picture of what I'm talking about, um, it doesn't look like, it's not giving me class, it's giving me like ratchet. Okay. And so ain't nothing wrong with Ratchet if y'all like Ratchet, but for me personally, that's not someone I'm voting for. Okay, off the rip. You don't give me the look, and I'm not saying a look is everything, but the look gives me the first few impressions of who I think you are, and that's your choice of how you chose to walk outside, and so therefore I'm entitled to my opinion, right? So I wasn't really feeling her as a mayor. And then she looks like a baby. That's another thing. I meant to Google her age. She looks very young. I'm sure she's not as young as I think she is, or she looks, right? But that woman looks young. I'm like, she look like a little kid. I mean, no offense. It's already bad enough that Chicago had that one mayor, the lady, the short looking lady. But this she just gives me baby, like baby. So I would hope that, and especially as being educated black women and knowing, what it is that we set out to do, right? And the goal is to always, I don't know, I guess for myself, my goal is to be the best that I can be, as almost a representation for me and women who look like me, right? And I would just think that, I would hope that the allegations against her are not true. But if they are, and it's very hard to believe that they may not be, okay, but I'm giving the lady grace because that's all I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know, right? I have to go with my intelligence and not my thought processes and my mindset, well, my intuition on this one, right? If she is found guilty, I will say this: when y'all call these black people sellouts, these are your sellouts, right? It's not the people that are coming to you with a level of education that may disagree with you, that may have a different opinion than you. It's the people that are sitting here getting all this money from you, all your support, all your attention, and everything else, and they're misusing it and abusing it. Those are your black sellouts, okay? So for the folks that were, oh, Candace Owens, what is her name? Candace Owens? Is that the girl's name? I don't really follow her because some things I can't rock with. Like some of the things she be a little off when it comes to the black community, but other times, most of the time, her dialogue is really well thought out. um her opinions, whether you agree with them or not, have a level of intelligence to them. And so, but sometimes not all the time, because I know I stopped following her for a reason. But I'm not saying that she shouldn't be followed, right? That's a woman that, whether we like it or not, whether we like her background or not, whether we like some of the things she says or not, that's a woman who we can agree upon that is somewhat educated. Okay. If not educated, do you get what I'm saying? Like, that's a woman we can agree that came out and said, hey, look, the black community should be doing this. The problem, though, is Candace Owens is speaking to a community of people who do not necessarily collectively think like Candace Owens. And so, therefore, they see Candace Owens as a sellout, but really, Candace Owens, in my personal opinion, is a lot more classier than this woman y'all got as mayor. Okay? And I guarantee you, you probably will never hear her name in some stuff like this. Okay? I'm just saying. So we gotta be mindful. Like, when we call people names, and listen, I'm not just talking about names, because there was a level of hate that came from black people who were in support of Trump. Now the whole country can't wait to get Trump back into office, and that may never happen. Right. And I say that because we're living in a time right now where things are changing every freaking day, quickly, rapidly. And if he gets in office, we never know what could happen. I'm just saying, y'all got to really go into this with an understanding that anything can happen right now. I know we want something to happen, but things are happening right now that are really changing the trajectory of the country. So for black people, I gotta say this: when y'all are sitting here calling folks sellouts, y'all need to be calling people like Sexy Red sellouts, right? People who are catering to this culture, right, that we don't really support. Right. I mean, if we're really calling people sellouts, a sellout is somebody who sells out their own people in order to gain something, right? And this is the thing. If you're selling me an image that is not good for my children, right? That's a sellout. That's your sellout. It ain't the people that are sitting here using their brain and their intellect to school you and or to educate and or share their ideas and their thoughts and their reason, their reasonable decision making skills, right? I'm just saying, like, it's not the people that y'all be calling sellouts. Those are not the people selling you out. It's the people that are really deliberately harming you. And I want black people to understand, like, if this woman is really, if the FBI finds that this woman is genuinely has done what they're accusing her of doing, that's your sellout. That's y'all need to be having a hell of a lot of smoke for that lady, right? Because y'all were wrong the first time. It just is what it is. You were so led by emotion the first time around when it came to this first election that you allowed this man that's currently in president to be in president. Like, you were in full support of him simply because you hated somebody. As if hate was ever the emotion to move off of. That's crazy. Didn't your mama tell you never say you hate somebody, right? So I'm just saying. I'm not going, if I hate you, I love you, right? Secretly, this is how I see it. I don't hate on people to the point where I'm going to stop you from eating. I'm going to stop you from succeeding because I hate you. Man, that's cancerous. That's a real issue right there. So I want y'all to understand something. The people who are selling y'all out are the black mayor of New York, black man. People are talking about, oh, it's a black woman. It's shame on a black woman to be in her position. I'm like, listen, the nigga's been doing it too. Every city where you got these sanctuary cities, what do they mayors be looking like outside of our mayor? Our mayor was black too. Don't get it twisted. It was a nigga, right? Let's keep it a buck, right? Like, I ain't trying to be an asshole, but it's the truth, right? It was a black male, and now you have this white man coming in and having to clean up all the shit. He trying, But I don't know, again, I don't know how well he's trying, but I know that he really is trying to backtrack on a lot of shit and he just can't. It's like certain things are kind of, because they were already set in motion, we're just here and you're stuck with it. But then again, I don't know this mayor well enough, and I don't know if anybody knows him well enough yet to know whether he's even effective or not. But I know it didn't start with him. I know it started with the black male who just left office. He left office. Now you got this white man coming in and being like, he trying to. He's trying. It ain't gonna work though, bro. So he need to get with the program. The white boy need to step it, like he needs to get his shit together. He need to fix this. Cause this shit ain't, I don't know. I'm not, every day I go to work, there's more cars on the road. I'm not understanding. You got people going 20 in the goddamn 40, 50 mile an hour lane. Today I was at 50 miles an hour, 20. You could tell these people don't know how to drive. That's what I'm saying. There is obvious. And it's always some person in the car looking at their phone, and it ain't your typical, I don't want to say it's not an American, but that's how I be looking. So I don't know. These are the real black sellouts. The people who supported this shit. The migrants coming in, excuse my language, but it just pees me off a little bit. That have supported giving financial support to these migrants, right? Beyond our own control. And what's interesting, they always talk about, and just going on that migrant crisis really quick, right? Because you're hearing about all these different people from all these different areas coming into America right now. And I remember in, what's that movie, Leave the World Behind, when the man goes outside and he finds the flyer, right? And that flyer, his son is like, yeah, I think he said it was Arabic. I don't know, or Chinese or something. I don't know. But it ended up being that there were multiple different languages on that one like flyer, right? In support of the Deaf to America. It just makes me wonder, you guys. Civil War, I could almost see how the Civil War movie that the Obamas are coming out with could be a true piggyback off of Leave the World Behind. Because if that's the case, then that means we're fighting an enemy that we really can't see. And I've heard people say that with the migrant crisis, they did not expect it to get this out of control. They thought they contained it and had it contained, but they did not, right? And that reminds me of the very end where the black man is saying, like, yo, like, they thought they had this under control, but they really didn't. And the scariest part is no one's in control, right? If these people can take down America, I mean, they can take down pretty much every other civilization in the world. And the world right now is watching. So, Black America, man, I need y'all to wake up this election. It is not, listen, these Democrats are liable to pull anything to try to get some votes. Now, again, that's going off of the fact that they were willing to allow all these people into this country without having to really like go through the proper channels. That tells you what they think of you. When you have a mayor that's going and under scrutiny for all these different allegations, as severe as they are, right? That's a person, if she's found guilty, right? Because if she's not found guilty, that's a whole nother conversation we will be having. But if she's found guilty, that should let you know right now there are no second chances. There is no conversation. That you are done. You wash your hands of that and you do not make the same mistakes twice. So that's all I got to say on the matter, y'all. Let me know what y'all think down in the comments below. With that being said, I'm out. Peace.